I want to talk about the organizational changes. We all saw the firing of Shanahan coming. But what about the decision to make Bruce Allen the general manager? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I put my thoughts in the paper this morning. I think when you finish 5 of 6 years in last place, that something is inherently wrong about your operation. I think that at that point, a new set of eyes are needed, new blood is needed. If for no other reason than just to say, you know what, guys, you have some good people here, but let me bring a fresh perspective that maybe can help us in the long run. Now, what we've seen from the Redskins is that they don't believe in trying to do things the right way. They believe in doing things the Dan Snyder way, which clearly has failed. I mean, when you talk about a 14-year run, 4 winning seasons, 4 playoff appearances, and 5 of the last 6 years in last place, I don't know how you continually sell doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. As far as Bruce Allen specifically, Bruce Allen is very good at some things. He is an ambassador. He is someone who can be a face of an organization. He's great at shaking hands and kissing babies. But if you're talking about a guy who has the chops, the scouting chops, to look at a roster in disrepair and say, okay, guys, tell me what we need to do, and I'll make the last decision on the talent to fix it, I believe he is incapable of doing that. And in closing, and I know I've gone on for a bit here,
it's not that long.
Scott Campbell and Morocco Brown, who are their 2 top player personnel guys, they are well respected. I've talked to people around the league about them. Morocco Brown very soon someday could run his own shop. But when you talk about this team and what has happened here, to not bring in a general manager who was a successful top lieutenant at another organization, a guy who has the proven scouting background, I'm just, it is what it is.
To play devil's advocate, Mike, I want to ask you if
I don't think you should ask him.
won't the Snyder?
I'm going to agree with him completely.
Won't the Snyders? But to say that it's the same old Snyder plan, this is at least going away from the one-person head coach / GM making
This
all the decisions.
is what they did with Vinny, though. This is what they did with Vinny.
Okay, so you're saying that Vinny's role will be what Bruce will be doing now.
He's saying you're putting someone in charge who's not qualified to be in charge. That's what they're saying.
So it's back to the future, which is a quote that you use in one of your in your column this morning.
Can I if I can play devil's advocate, and you obviously know more about the inner workings of that organization than I do, but isn't it? I think it's possible that they're not done. He said they could bring in additional voices, and I think that. I mean, co-GMs is not something that is done, and is certainly an unusual move, but. I think that Bruce is a very good talker and a very good politician, like you said in your thing. And I think it's possible that he sort of overstated what his own role in personnel will be.
Well, if he did, that's great. I think that'd be great because Jason Reed pointed out in an earlier column that the way to do this was simple. Obviously, Bruce Allen has ingratiated himself to the owner just like Vinny Serrato had. The nice thing about Bruce Allen is his father once coached this team to a Super Bowl. To me, it's not even transparent or camouflage. All this owner has been doing is selling the past because it makes people forget about the present. It's the one thing that has value for him. His stewardship as owner has no value. The draft now has no value. The roster has very little value. The coaching staff has no value. It's gone. But the brand has value, and Bruce Allen is part of the brand from his father's days. And I think he has shaken hands, and he is, as one former coach said, he brushes his teeth with Coors Light. He's a social animal. And he's got Dan Snyder believing that he's one of the guys now. And he takes him out, and so that's fine. That's great. Make him, like Jason Reed said, the team president.
Right.
And bring in a guy that knows football. This guy's been 62-82 the last 9 years with the teams he's been. He got John Gruden fired. He got Mike Shanahan fired. And he's taken no accountability.
Dan, is it possible?
No real accountability.
Is it possible that there are?
Pretty harsh.
Is it possible
It's
that there?
true, though.
Well, wait. Let me
It's
ask you this:
true.
is it possible that there are a few real football GM types out there that would want to come work for Snyder?
Well,
and as such, they don't have many
I think
options and have to put Allen in that
I'm sure
position.
there are people who would say no, but I'm sure there are people who would say yes. There's got to be. It's like what everyone says. There's 32 of these jobs in the world. There's 32 in the whole world.
Do you know what Bruce Allen's greatest contribution this year has been? Behind the scenes, he's worked on the name issue more than anybody has. And I'll give him credit. He's actually listened to some Native Americans. This guy has put some time in. That's his job as a team president. He's not a football guy.
What does this mean about the head coach likelihood on the horizon? The fact that this restructuring, Bruce Allen becomes the GM. Does this mean that the guys like Cowher, like John Gruden, possibly who want to do it all, won't be in the mix now, Jason? Do you think?
Well, the fallacy about Cowher is that when he was in Pittsburgh, I mean, clearly he had a great deal of input, but there were other people getting the groceries. And so, if let's say you would bring a guy like Cowher who's been so far removed from this thing, he would need a strong player personnel guy. I have no questions about that. But in terms of what this means for the coach, what this means is, the better question is what this means for the organization. What it means for the organization is Dan Snyder has broken out the box, and nobody's ever going to be able to put him back in again. He largely was on the sidelines because Mike Shanahan demanded it, and he needed the credibility Shanahan brought. He will never allow this to happen again. He's never going to pay somebody $7 million to tell him to go stand in the corner again. And that's the big fear for the Washington.
And what Shanahan did blew up, though. Go ahead.
Can I add one other thing? I think a lot of fans that I've heard from point, kind of sadly, as an example to Baltimore, is what they wish this franchise could be now. And I think when you look at the organizational structure in Baltimore, they have Dick Cass, who's actually a local D.C. guy and still lives in Montgomery County, who does that president role. And he does it great. I've talked to him. He's great at what he does. Then they've got Ozzie Newsome, who is like peerless as a talent evaluator. And they've got John Harbaugh, who was, an up-and-coming, young, hungry coach who they gave him a chance, and he's won. And even this year, with all the players that they lost last year, they were still playing for a playoff spot in the last week.
And you know why? You know why they're successful? Because they have the right people doing well-defined roles, and everybody does it as an organization. But there's no question about Ozzie's the guy who gets the players. John has input, but John's a great, hungry young coach, and John coaches the team. And the team president's the team president. And do you know why they win? Because that is how you win.